Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's just make sure we've got that. Looks okay. Fine and dandy. Welcome to live number 142. Is it 142? Yes. Number 142, which is, we're not far away from 150 now. 150 lives, as the bishop said to the actress. Bugger me. I'll get to your comments in just a moment. There is a lot going on. There's some stuff happening just before I came on air. So I'll kind of start with that first because, everything's happening in America. Well, it's happening in Switzerland and America. And we'll kind of do a deep dive into what I know about the World Economic Forum and Davos. You know, those that are regular viewers of the lives, they know that I've been to Davos quite a few times, skiing and just a bit of malarkey. And America, the eyes are on America tomorrow. It's inauguration weekend. There's literally by the day stuff happening. So if you don't mind, I will hopefully the cough, if you bear with me. Cough is still here, so it looks like I'm on death's door. So the next live is going to be live 143. And oh, by the way, as you come into the body of the Kirk, if you can just smash the likes on your way in rather than on your way out, and make sure after you've hit the likes that you're subscribed to the channel. And there's a lot going on, major amounts of stuff that I can barely keep tabs on. I'm going to ask some of your questions. I won't ask them. I won't answer them in a way you might expect. I can't even speak tonight. Hang on, I need me. Stuart's away on a holiday, so I've not got any Jaeger bombs and me hibiscus. Absolutely terrible. Oh, it steams me glasses up the wrong one. So next live, just before I get into your comments, is going to be live 143 this Wednesday. Excuse me. So live 143 this coming Wednesday. There's going to be, I don't want to tempt fate because I don't want to do anything on a live and then something happens a couple of days later and people go, oh, bloody hell, Adrian, you're a Jonah, if you know what one of those is. So next live, 22nd of January, this coming Wednesday. To Andy Turner. Andy, I'm going to read out your bits and pieces in just a little while. I've actually printed them off because Andy's made a very good point. In the field, I'm just acknowledging what you've said. I'm not going to really read it out, but I will be doing something over the next few days around that because there seems to be a lot of confusion. There also seems to be a lot of bots being operated. So I just want to be proportionate and appropriate with everything that I do, because for me now, this is about integrity. What I do on the lives and what I do in the videos, it's about integrity. I want you to trust things that I say. I want you to trust that I am who I am and everything has integrity. That's why I do these things. And that's why I give you my experience, 40 years in media, whether it be 40 years in professional radio or editor of a magazine, writer of newspapers and with my own newspaper columns in the past, and a bit of telly every now and again. So I just want to bring all of that insight to you so you kind of get it. But a lot of the regulars are very wise and very intelligent and can see through a lot of stuff that's going on. So tonight, what I want to do is I just want to present stuff to you so that you get it. You absolutely get it, whether it's context or understanding or just facts, because the more facts I give you, the more understanding you're going to get, and the more understanding you get, the more context you get, and then you see right through these shite peddlers. Sorry, technical term we use in radio. Oh, Des Ashton, you're a terrible man, but I love you to bits. Des says, good evening, all you Battenbergers. That'll be the wrong uns, Des. He says, I'm here hoping the Rev will have a ranty one tonight. don't forget to smash the likes. Yes, please. Smash the likes on the way in rather than on the way out. We are going to be... it is the adrenaline, I swear. I've not coughed once. And the minute it goes live... Anyway, I'd just like to say thank you to Stuart for his continued support of the channel. As I say, anyone that sort of donates to the sweary ranty box or the church minibus fund or the church lead roof fund, I just want to say thank you, because I always mention the legendary Battenbergers at the beginning of every live. So we'll get to a rundown. Where are we? Yeah, we'll get to a rundown in a moment. Stuart says, evening, Adrian. Won't be able to make this live tonight. I'm away on a family holiday for Mum's 60th. Oh, fabulous, Stuart. So I'll see you on the replay sometime tomorrow. Look forward to a great one. Thank you, Stuart. Hope you're well, sir. Karen Boo says, oh, and send my regards and happy birthday to your mum. Karen Boo says, good evening, Rev. Good evening, all. Have you seen the snow alert too? What's on for tonight? And I'm up the front again, nice and cosy. Yeah, if you're in early, you can get to the front of the pews. So you don't need your hearing aid turning up for my ranting. But there's always Battenberg on the go, and there's always a bit of altar wine and a bit of hibiscus. I haven't been to me dealer yet for me yearly hibiscus update. He said he didn't have any in. That's not a very good dealer at all, is it? Oi, 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 oi. Oh, nothing better. Thank you, Karen. Hope you're well and nice and cosy. We have put the heating on in the body of the kirk, because we were getting complaints the last few lives where it was, well, to quote an expert, even the brass monkeys were carrying welding gear around with them. So hopefully it's a little... it's a little warmer tonight. Paulie Galtieri, good evening, Adrian. Yeah, utter wrong. Evening, Paulie. Rusty Mouse, get those candles burning, Ed. It's mighty cold near. Fur undies, me, Rusty Mouse. Like I say, it was getting so cold. I was walking outside, my nipples were so hard, I was keying everybody's car. And they reckon it's going to be like snow and cold and everybody's going to die. Well, it's that fear porn again, isn't it? Like they're calling them storms now. They're a bit squally, to use a technical term. It's just windy. I mean, coming from the northeast and having lived in Scotland, Scotland gets it tight every year. I mean, you know, the snow, it's just a summer's day in Scotland. And they don't bat an eyelid. They just go, oh, well, what, we've got 8 inches of snow. Oh, fabulous. Nothing better than a good 8 inches. So thank you, Rusty Mouse. Louise Hampson. Oh, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Louise. Yeah, wrong. Ernst Goldfinger is in the body of the kirk. Make sure you hide the sharps. Evening, all. Evening, Ernst. Yeah, wrong. Lionel Leighton, unrehearsed. I'm here and number 8 in the likes. Oh, I say, Lionel. Nothing better. It's that conspiracy of the number 8 this evening in the live. Wonder what's going on there. I mean, have you noticed how, like in America, they have everything. It's not metric. It's the other one, imperial. So everything's imperial. So it's as in inches and foot. And myself and the new Mrs. Allen had a bit of a ding dong the other day, because she doesn't understand feet and inches, which is a bonus. Because I keep telling her that's about 8 inches, and she keeps whittering on about centimeters and meters, and I have no clue. She'll go to me, it's 10 centimeters, and I'm like, give it to me in inches. Stop making your own gags up. And well, 10 centimeters, 4 inches. So the meteorologists are saying, oh, there's going to be 20 centimetres in places. And I'm like, why don't they just say bloody 8 inches? Now, I'm from Sunderland. And can you remember a guy called the Metric Martyr who wanted to sell his bananas in pounds? Because we're Blighty. We're the Sceptred Isle. We have royalty. And these bloody Europeans, they've had us go all metric and stuff. Sacred geometry, obvs, and I prefer it in pounds and imperial and inches. Makes me feel larger, especially on a cold day. So, Lionel Leighton Underhurst, welcome to the body of the Kirk. Yeah, wrong. Des Ashton, always in early. And Tom Harney's. Oh, blimey, my finger was too heavy there. Tom, hang on a second. I'll get back to it in a second. I see you. Oh, there we are. Tom Harley's evening all. It's Battenberg time. Get the jazz hands going. Also, I feel like a nice G&T. Oh, you tart, Tom. Send one over here. I mean, I'm not sure we can get a G&T in a mug of hibiscus. But I'll give it a good go. Coming on as well. Let's have a good one. You're welcome, Tom. I'll do my best for you tonight. Alan said, oh, welcome. Yeah, wrong. For those that are coming in late, yeah, utter tarts. I mean, I'm not sure there's enough room in the body of the Kirk for you, but I've got my cassock on and my suspenders, and well, not those kind of suspenders, just those that keep me frock in place. And we will try and do our best this evening for a little entertainment, insight, deep dives. And I will tell you in a moment after I said hello to Nikki Watson. Nikki Watson says, evening all. Sorry I missed the live on Wednesday, but caught up the next day. Brilliant, Nikki. Yeah, wrong. I hope you enjoy the live this evening. If anybody sees Napoleon blown apart, I do hope that everything's okay with young Napoleon. If you're catching it up on the live, Napoleon, would be nice to see you back in the body of the Kirk when you can. Alan says, evening, wrong-uns. Looking forward to the Reverend's sermon. And this evening's sermon is going to include Donald Trump's inauguration. Let me tell you, I've got some facts and figures for you and some insight. We're going to talk about TikTok in a moment, because it's all changed yet again. We're going to talk about the most hated prime minister in history. I wonder who that can be then. I've got 99 problems, and Keir Starmer happens to be one of them. Do not be distracted by January 20th, let me tell thee. And TikTok, the battle China versus USA. I've got an update for you. Other than that, got a couple of questions for you that I would like some insight for. We're going to have a look at the halls of Babylon. It's a technical term that we use in radio. We're going to look at Andy Turner's given a very good point from earlier, and it's just full of stuff. Thank you to Mad Matt UK. Good evening, Rev. Good evening, Rev. 5'6" is opposed to 163 centimeters, I think. Let's forget about the 5 foot and let's talk about the 6 inches. Mad Matt UK says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Matt. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. Roy Michael Taylor, good evening from Derbyshire. Oh, God's own country. Much respect to you. Really enjoy your channel. It's very educational. Thank you, Roy Michael Taylor. And having lived in Nottinghamshire, and I once did a fireworks switch on in Derby. Where was that? And like 250,000 people turned up. It was scary. They said to me, oh, there's a few people out there, just before I went on the stage to kind of welcome everybody and get the fireworks switch on. And the boss of the radio station, it was Century 106 at the time, was there's a few of them, Adrian. There's quite an audience. So I walked out and it was literally human beings as far as the eye could see. One of the few times that for a millisecond I was lacking in words. It certainly threw me a bit, but I have to say there is an affinity with the people of Derby. Some of my best friends are from Derby. Evening to my best friend Dean, who's watching in Derby. He's live tonight, he says, seemingly. So evening to Dean and Bex, who have been with me on a long journey from the 90s, and I love them dearly. Not getting, all tree-hugging hippie shite, but just saying hello to my friends, because they're very good. Ray Norton, Labour councillor, and stuff about January 20th. Ray Norton, don't worry, I don't miss it. But I want to tell you about TikTok, because you heard that TikTok had gone dark. Well, it's not. It is, but it isn't. Because TikTok is resuming services to its 170 million users in the US after President-elect Donald Trump said he would give the app a reprieve when he takes office tomorrow. The Chinese-owned app stopped working for American users. I mean, can you imagine the shite that's going down in America? They think that Donald Trump's going to be assassinated, and I wish him a long life and good health. I don't want anything like that from the deep state and President Brown Trousers and Camel Toe the alcoholic. I don't want anything like that. But seemingly, when he gets into office tomorrow, he's going to sign something. And well, let me tell you. So TikTok. Oh, that was what I was going to say. So the Americans, there's all this stuff going on in California. Look, who's there? Wildfires in California. Oh, that's the media for it. Give it a couple of days and we forget about loads of things. And what was the other thing? Yeah, Project Bluebeam. I've told you about that a few weeks ago. And Paulie Galtieri, Adrian, have you read the Labour 25 PDF list? Oh, yes, I've got it. Yes, I've got it. I've got loads of that stuff. But you've got to remember that whatever is posted on X, you can kind of get away with it because of Elon Musk's stance. But here on YouTube, has to be very different. Very, very different. So, because they could literally, like that, take the channel away. And that's not why I'm here. I'm not up for that at all. So let's talk about TikTok. It stopped working for the American users, and the American users started squealing like stuck pigs. It was a bit like, the aliens. It must have been the aliens, or it must have been the wildfires. That's why in the only thing that America's good for is money. They're not very good warriors. They big themselves up because they all think they're John Wayne. But the minute that something comes onto their radar, pun intended, then they just go all a bit mad, I tell thee, mad. That's where you go to the north of England. That's where you get the special forces from, because we've all been through it in the north of England. And the Americans don't have any backbone. They don't have any steel up them, unless you're Barack Obama and Big Mike, of course. Have you seen the latest from the Obamas? Before I continue with TikTok, seemingly Big Mike has flounced off. Not quite sure what in, but Big Mike has flounced off. Michael Obama, he's like, I'm not coming to DC anymore. No. I'm not coming to the inauguration. And there's Trump and Barack. Now, I hate to say this, ladies, but you know, one man can feel another man's pain without using his hands. And I saw Trump and Barack Obama sitting there having a bit of jaw, but there was no women around giving either of them. Well, Melania was there, but she never says out, does she? Like nout. And she, obviously, the Donald is president of the United States of America, leader of the Western world. And there's little Barack going, hey, I like you really, Donald. Yeah, I like you really. But Big Mike, off he goes. So there was a picture showing Big Mike and Barry, a Swalo, something, not Obama, and they were holding hands, lovely holding hands over a dinner table, and he was like, the love of my life. She's not well, she's unhappy at you, Barry, mate, because, had dinner and then bag it off. Hang on, Garen Davis, you're utter wrong. And I've heard the rumour that Barry is banging Jennifer, but Jennifer Aniston, she got big balls or something. Beach balls. Hang on, Nigel Green's at it. Who's dropping Battenberg on the floor? Don't expect me to bend over to pick it up. Oh, I say, matron. So, yeah, the Obamas, they're talking divorce and everything. I mean, the kids are not around anymore. Well, they've had to give them back, haven't they? So, you've got all that going on. Big Mike and Barry having a bit of a spat. He's flounced off, Big Mike. And Barry's sitting there talking to the Donald, going, Donald, man, bloody women. What do you mean, Barry? What, Big Mike? Gone. She's not coming back to DC. Coming being the operative. Hang on, Gene, psychic. Someone cut edges and cut the wires where I lived. No way, Gene. Do you not see it coming? Oh, that's lovely. I'm just teasing, Jane. That's a terrible. I do suppose you went out with your clippers and said, right, who's done this? They're going to lose a pair in this weather as well. So let's get back to TikTok. I knew that you just would distract me. Yeah, utter wrong uns. So TikTok is back on. It was off And then it was back on. And when it was off, America was losing its mind. And now that it's back on, America's like, oh, we always knew that the Donald was going to get this sorted. But how? In a statement, TikTok said that it was in the process of restoring services, I quote, direct quote, just hours after going dark in America. What is that? We're going dark. Is that a technical term that we use in tech? TikTok, that'll be President Xi Jinping, thanked the president-elect, that's the Donald, for providing the necessary clarity and assurance. Oh, I say, there's always the deal, Donald. And said they would work with Trump on a long-term solution that keeps TikTok in the United States. Because, you know, President Brown Trousers, did you see his address to the Americans as he was leaving office? That man is a fucking lunatic. He's a fucking lunatic. All of them. The DP, the VP, the alcoholic, they're all mad. The left, they're all mad because all that's happening is the Donald is bringing a bit of common sense. And I'll talk about this when I talk about what the Donald's going to get up to. But there's going to be millions of them deported. President Brown Trousers, Vix Tech says, phony as fuck. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud? Potty mouth. I'll have to put another $5 in the bloody jar again. So TikTok, so the Donald posting on Truth Social said, I'm asking companies not to let TikTok stay dark. Easy for you to say when you've had a few. I will issue an executive order on Monday to extend the period of time before the law's prohibitions take effect so that we can make a deal to protect our national security. What's going on in the back end of TikTok? I mean, I've got it and I've got a pro. But TikTok's parent company, it's called ByteDance with a Y. Oh, I say, strictly. Previously ignored a law requiring it to sell its US operations to avoid a ban. The law was upheld by the Supreme Court on Friday and went into effect today. Mind you, it hasn't been dark for that long, really. The platform was widely popular amongst millions, like 170 million users in America. And it was a valuable tool for American political campaigns to reach younger voters. So Trump had previously backed the TikTok ban, but, you know, the art of the deal, the young Donald, he more recently professed a warm spot for the app. That's called incontinence, Donald. At 78, I would make sure that your drawstring pants are tight. Touting the billions of views he says his videos attracted on the platform during last year's presidential campaign. Is it really? When you say that phrase, last year's presidential campaign, only feels like yesterday, but technically it is 2025. In a law passed in April, the US version of the app would be removed from app stores and web hosting services. And TikTok had argued that the law violates free speech protections. Anyway, it's back on. Donald, he's sent an executive order. So we're going to start with a question this evening. As I say, we're going to talk about Trump's inauguration with some facts and figures and insight. We're going to talk about Starmer the pensioner harmer. We're going to talk about what's going on tomorrow, but with high regard to the process of law. And there's the update for TikTok. But we'll also talk about the halls of Babylon, technical term that we use in radio. And I'll get to that in a moment. But I was having a conversation. It's like one of those pub conversations. And I'm enjoying them as much as I can before the government goes, right, yeah, wrong-uns. Right, everybody in the body of the kirk. Firstly, you're far too rowdy and put your drinks down, off you go. And take your Battenberg with you. Because they'll stop us. They'll try to stop us. Oi, 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 oi. Oh, that's wonderful. Might need a second one. I'm home alone, so I'll have to make my own. God knows how I'm going to do that. Des Ashton says, what is happening in the Chinese property market? Massive losses for major corporates. I think the Chinese property market was knackered years ago, and they've... I think they've just given Rachel from complaints, because everybody's calling her Rachel from accounts. She was never in accounts, and you can tell by the budget she never was in accounts. She was in complaints. She'll be dealing with all of Starmer the pensioner harmer, all of his complaints, and there'll be bloody millions of them. Terry, you're wrong. I've just read that. I am going to address that. I am. Because, as I say, he used to be a friend, and he's got nobody around him that's actually giving him a word to the wise. And he's going to get himself in trouble. I literally would give you a pound to a penny bet that he's returned to do the 3 years left of his license. Hang on, where's Fern gone? Poor Rachel looks tired and stressed, pet. She is. Bless her. She only got 600 million out of the Chinese. Whoa! Are they northern, the Chinese? Because, like, it might be Scottish. It might be Scottish Chinese or Chinese Scottish. Either way, they've just found 80 billion worth of gold. And you know how this works, don't you, with Rachel from Accounts and Complaints? She probably double teams everybody. So they haven't got any money. And Rachel from Accounts is putting taxes up and absolutely brassing everybody off in this sceptred isle. So do you know what they do? Because they can't raise any more taxes because they're absolutely burst. They go to the Chinese because everybody's been to the Chinese. And somebody from WEF, probably Klaus Schwab, he's probably said to young Tuti Akia, "Here, wrong'un. You want some cash? We haven't got any, obviously, because we're a money-making exercise. So get yourself to the Chinese. They were here last year. You met them, you know, Xi Ping-pong. You met them. Did you not have a word with them saying, can we borrow some when we get into power? No, Klaus, I forgot. I was having, you know, too many dinners." You can tell where his turkey necks come from. Fat lad. Well, he's a politician. You can call them anything they want because they put themselves in the public eye. No such thing as libel with a member of parliament. Rachel, the tea lady. I bet she spilled quite a bit of tea. And when they go to the Chinese, because everybody's been to the Chinese, America, $36 trillion in debt, and they've been to the Chinese, and the Chinese are like, no problem, lads. How much do you want? How much do you want? Do you want it in yen? Or do you want it in shekel? Or do you want it in the euro? Or would you prefer it in the dollar? Because I thought the petrodollar was a bit defunct. And the Americans have gone, how much have you got then? Chinese have got 40% of your debt. Give us, we'll buy it off you. We'll give you can print your own dollars, can't you? Yeah. So what are you coming to us for? For money? Well, our politicians are corrupt. They're all multimillionaires from being corrupt and insider trading. So really, you're the only people that we can come to because we can't print any more bloody money. Because then the grunts, the unwashed, they'll get the game. 600 million Rachel from Accounts gets from the Chinese. They're definitely Scottish. Tight as a fish's backside. Oh, did I? My lips never moved. So let's talk about the halls of Babylon. I mean, I said to you on Wednesday, I couldn't believe what was going on. And I thought that something's very, 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 very wrong in the world when I saw what was going on. And I've done my research, the behaviour of some of these girls is becoming increasingly extreme. Just to stand out online, not let alone do what they're doing. I'm trying to think of a clean technical term. I can't at the moment, but I'm sure I will do as I go on. They just want to stand out, the likes and the clicks and stuff online. It is literally an episode of Black Mirror. New series coming in 2025. And it's to satisfy the public's need for entertaining dopamine hits. I mean, really? You would want to watch them for your dopamine hits? But that's all it is. A hit. The dopamine. Millisecond. It wears off quickly. And it wears off for them quickly, as you will find out as I go deeper into this. Pun intended. Yeah, wrong'un. So it leaves people desperate for the next high. That's why there's all this going on in our society where, recreational gear is out of control. There's even recreational gear everywhere in prisons nowadays. And now we're getting floozies, for want of a better term, doing what they're doing. They want likes, clicks, and OF money, and everybody else just can't believe their eyes. But they're still paying however much a month, $5.99 a month. So the crazy circus continues at speed. Not that kind of speed, just like speed, the descriptor, until I believe society is going to eat itself. We've had pop will eat itself. That was a banned fear from the 80s, but now society is going to eat itself alive. Anyone genuinely wish the internet, social media, smartphones were never invented? Because now it's like we're just there and it's just doom scrolling and it's like everything. But there's these two. I won't be disrespectful and I won't be misogynistic, but honestly, take me back to the 80s, man. So the two girls, one's called Lily Phillips and one's called Bonnie Blue. I am very, very, very sure that you won't have any idea of the updates. I get that it's all about the Benjamins, it's all about the greenbacks, it's all about the moolah. But Bonnie Blue was ran through by 1,057 men, males, boys, men. But now Lily Phillips is the other one. She was ran through by 100 men, males, in one day. And at the end of it, she was crying and she was struggling and there was like a documentary being made about it. And then Bonnie Blue goes and like 10x's that to over 1,000. But now Lily Phillips has come out. Not out. I think she might be out, but out. But she's been somewhere in London, and well, she's obviously gone to the bathroom, and she's used some of that hair conditioner, but she hasn't washed her hair first. So she's walked into London streets with this conditioner all over her face. The video went viral because everybody could see the hair conditioner all over her face. And now she's announced that she wants to go work for a supermarket. I mean, can you believe that? What does she want to go and work for a supermarket for? Well, she says she wants to meet all the backdoor men. And all supermarkets have backdoor men, so that's what she must mean. You know, when the lorry arrives and they unload the lorry, there's a person that's sole job is to wait for the deliveries, and his name is called a backdoor man. So she's asked for as many backdoor men as she can in one day. After having the hair conditioner on her face. I mean, I looked at her and I thought, what are you doing that for? Just get back in the shower and wash your hair, man. So you can see that Lily, I don't even look at the comments that are coming through. I'm surprised you haven't burst your incontinence pants. Battenberg men could be the Bovril. 41 seconds each. What, they last that long? And none of them look her type, to be honest, says Fred Barker. Welcome, Fred. Are you a newbie, Fred? I just look for somebody to pop their cherry. Mind you, I'm degrading myself and going down to the Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips level. So Lily Phillips, these two stunts that she's Cupid stunts. The spoonerism was the right way around. So people genuinely are shocked by her antics. Bonnie Blue is actually dealing with divorce. She's married. This is the woman that was run through by 1,057 men. She's married. I mean, can you imagine I daren't even speculate, but if I was her husband, I'd be like, trollop. No. Now, technically, if you want a divorce, because I advised somebody the other day, if you want a divorce and, the missus or the husband is not really taking care of certain needs, then you can get a divorce for that. I mean, can you go to the divorce court and go, well, Your Honour, she was run through by 1,057 men in 12 hours? I mean, she'd be too old for the judge, but, I mean, would the judge line up with his face covered? Her face covered? That's brilliant, Nigel. Wash and go or wash and come. So this Lily Phillips, she did this hair conditioner stunt, and somebody says, "Oh, that is so wild. It should be illegal." It is. Of course it's illegal. I'll tell you how in just a second. But Lily recorded herself leaving a hotel room with, with the hair conditioner covering her face before proudly stepping onto the streets of London. And I just thought, tart. Now, I also thought, because I was deemed, and there have been double-page spreads in newspapers about me, because at the time in the 90s, it was very much the shock jock era. The phone-in presenter that was a shock jock. They would say shocking things. They would say stuff to really wind you up. I mean, at the time, I was a proper wind-up merchant, an agent provocateur. Can't really do that on here to a certain extent. But, that evolved into Katie Hopkins being kind of a female version and a TV version of a shock jock. That's all they're doing. And now you've got YouTube, you've got that Scottish guy who's going around winding people up and people getting very upset at him. And it's the art of shock jockery that's been around for years. It came across from America. We made it our own. And some people have always wanted to be Howard Stern. I've done stuff on the radio in this country like Fake or Real, which is, if you go to the playlist, the radio playlist, Fake or Real is on there. And we'll get back to Lily Phillips and Bonnie Blue. It's not about me. So just the shock and provocation of what they're doing to the audience. And we're not necessarily their audience. The Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, I mean, Gen Z, the generation ended in 2024. 2025 is Gen A. So is this merely the new shock jockery for 2025? I mean, somebody commented and said, will women post this shite and then wonder why the entire planet and every major religion has imposed strict social restrictions on their sovereignty since the dawn of time in every place humans have ever lived? Wow, that's very strong. And somebody else said, we've come to measure our worth based on the sexualization. If you're promiscuous and lascivious, the more desirable you become. Somebody else said, this should be illegal if it isn't already. Well, it is. It is illegal because you're outraging public decency. So if she's come out, come being the operative, pun intended, if she's forgotten to wash her hair and put the conditioner on, then, well, people seeing her with all this conditioner, this thick white stuff all over her face, everybody knows what that is. Well, if you're of a certain age. And it outrages public decency. And there's videos of her laughing. I mean, she was very nervous, bless her. So I don't think she's as promiscuous and lascivious as Bonnie Blue, but she's still in the same ballpark, pun intended. And somebody else says, I wonder if you showed this to those early 20th century feminists, would they abandon the course? I mean, some of the suffragettes were even killed under horses at very prominent race meetings. And somebody else says, is this supposed to be empowering or just for fun? What's the point? Paulie says, Adrian, will she be going on the Battenberg diet before the back doors kicked in? Well, Paulie, as you know, everyone in the body of the Kirk understands and has context and an understanding for, she needs to eat Battenberg. Can you imagine? Battenberg is the way forward. And I actually feel sorry for her because I'm sure watching this little bit of documentary that I saw online, Lily Phillips, she actually shocked the world after revealing that she'd been run through by 100 blokes in one night as part of a stunt to promote her OnlyFans. And then her next goal was to bet 1,000. And then Bonnie Blue goes and does 1,000 in one day, in 12 hours. I mean, some of the other OnlyFans, they call them models, seemingly. Her antics, that's Lily Phillips, has even shocked some of her fellow adult workers, as they could be described. Some OnlyFans model, Cassidy Koza, Wonder how long it took for her to come up with that name. She says it was outrageous behaviour and warned other OnlyFans models not to follow in her footsteps. Well, now that she's done 100 and Bonnie Blue's done 1,000, she wants to do, you know, all the blokes from the supermarkets, the backdoor men, and she's obviously, would it be Pantene? I'm sure she could get a sponsorship deal for all the hair conditioner that she's had all over her face. Honestly, I think I'm doing something that extreme can be a form of self-harm, says this OnlyFans model. Even if people don't always see it that way. She's quoted in the mainstream media as saying that. And it feels like it could come from a deeper emotional place. They're off their trolleys. I mean, she's probably, well, in my view, daddy issues, whether it's possible a need for attention or validation. I mean, look at 2025. Everybody's looking for validation from their phone, their iPad, the telly, externally. They're not looking for validation from somebody that might love them and care for them. They're not looking for validation within themselves because, you know, all the great philosophers, all the great thinkers of time and man always say that your answer is within. What was the old Socrates? Life without introspection has no worth, comma, at all. But, you know, people are saying that maybe she's just trying to stand out in a competitive space like OnlyFans. Can you imagine some Hollywood actresses who weren't getting any parts in Hollywood films have done OnlyFans? One of Charlie Sheen's ex-wives, Denise Richards, she's making millions now from OnlyFans, where she couldn't get arrested for a part in Hollywood. So this, I mean, OnlyFans, I don't subscribe. I'm aware of it because of the reportage, but look, back in the day, my mum used to go knocking on doors and selling Avon or selling stuff, beauty stuff. I was only a young boy, so I never really thought about it. But if you think about it, your mum or your gran used to go knock on doors or sell Avon to mates and make a few bob. And now they're selling the Man from Uncle badge on OnlyFans. I'm not a prude by any stretch of the imagination. I am a man that's seen quite a bit of life. But there has to be a certain decorum. And maybe I'm very old-fashioned. And maybe the prude in me can't look at this without thinking, this is self-harm on an incredible scale. Looking for validation from 1,000 men. Then your husband looking at that going, "How do we end shite, pet? I'm off. Oh, by the way, I'm your husband, so you can give me half," said a spokesperson. Knight, who says, "Night. The shock is in realising that those girls have a vote. And women died for them to get the vote. They won't have voted. You can almost guarantee they won't have voted." One OnlyFans model says, "It sends a message to others in the industry that pushing yourself is dangerous to push yourself to dangerous extremes, and that is normal. That is not okay." Someone else says, "I truly think she needs help." And I say that with much respect. The fact that she now plans to sleep with even more men next time is really alarming. Not only does she want to do 1,000, she said she wants to do at least 100 backdoor men from the supermarkets. And obviously I'm having to say it like that to cover my derriere, talking of backdoors. So Bonnie Blue's estranged hubby wants a divorce, reportedly furious with what she's been doing. Really? Is this just all shock to get eyeballs, attention, validation, and ultimately money? Seemingly Bonnie Blue is saying, "Oh yeah, I'm making about 600 grand a month." Well, you can halve that if your husband's away for a divorce, but £600,000 a month from her OnlyFans. If you think about it realistically, you only have to do it for 6 months to have life-changing money. Pay all your taxes, do all your stuff, make a few million, and then just disappear. Oh, if I was them, I would just do it. If that's what they want to do it for a few months, make a few mil, pay everybody off, and then move to America. If you can get in. I wouldn't go out east. Those little Filipinos. Andy Turner left a few messages. Let's have a look at some of the Paulie Galtieri. Who the hell would pay to see Kerry Katona's kebab? Not me. I know what you're talking about, but no. Gavin Davis said, had to use the Freeman's catalogue back in the day. I'm with you, Gavin. Sorry, Garin. Orkida, they can also drive, reproduce, and the ones in America can buy guns. Very dangerous. Terry Wookford, will her rectal prolapse be treated on the NHS? She'll have to go private if she wants to do it again. While you're in there, that's me minus lamp before you say anything. Ray Norton, the amount of STI passed around, and yeah, I think that was one of the stipulations. You couldn't go in bareback. Bad Wolf Project. Lily Phillips' dad is a Labour donator and her parents are proud of her. In years to come, Phillips' kids will be at school as the kids will be told, I saw your mum on the internet last night. Yeah, by the time she has kids, blimey, they'll be thrown out, propelled out. Be like shelling peas, as my mum once said. Hang on, Aidan says, 1,000 men up the back door. What is she, a money box? Seemingly, she went out after the 100 men and went out for some salami. And the butcher said, do you want me to slice this? And she said, what do you think I am? Money box? Cuban Pete, life-changing. Yeah, quite. Yes. Honestly, you're brutal. She wouldn't want to sleep with my old man, Martine. Oof. Well, there is that, because they were all younger guys. Like, I don't know which one. Bonnie Blue. There was like a dad and a son there. And I mentioned this on Wednesday. I can't get my head around that. I keep thinking of my father, dad, however you want to term it, thinking, is that something we would go down the pub, have a few jars? And I would say to my dad, here, Dad, there's this bird. Well, she's a model, seemingly. Should we go and dance? He'd look at me as if I was gone out. I'm not going to touch her with yours, let alone my own, might have been the phrase. Photos with condoms all over the floor. Grim, says Fern. I saw that photo. It just made me skin crawl. Absolutely made my skin crawl. Alan says, Lily Phillips' kids, all different daddies. Can you imagine? Going to sign on. Mind you, if she got life-changing millions, she wouldn't go and sign on, would she? Rusty Mouse, Adrian, your question is not prude. I'm so I don't want this channel to be an echo chamber, but and as I say, I am a man of the world, and I've done things that I was glad the news of the world didn't get hold of. All of it consensual and legal, of course, before anybody starts. But I look at what they do now, and I think the advent of having so much access to movies that could have a blue hue, if you know what I'm talking about, it's just there. It's just there for them, all these kids. And they're now getting a really warped idea of validation, because from what I can gather, all the lads are saying to the young girls under 16, so it's technically statutory rape, or take a picture, send us a picture. They send a picture and it's all around the school. And the parents go, oh, well, I gave them a phone because just in case they got into a situation they couldn't get out of. Having a phone is not going to make any difference if they get into a bad situation. Giving them life skills gets them out of a bad situation. In fact, stops them from getting into the bad situation in the first place. It's like when I talk about my martial art, ninjutsu. I train in ninjutsu, so I don't have to use it. My training allows me an insight. And all the former military boys on the channel know exactly what I'm talking about. Your training trains you not to get into compromising situations. And maybe we adults, I know the viewership of this channel is mainly 35 plus. There are some under 35, 16, 24s, 24, 35s. There are some people that watch the stuff that I do. But the 35 plussers, we've lived a bit of life. I know they don't want to listen to us, and I know they think they know better. But sometimes we have to protect them, not from others, but from themselves. And there's many a story of a young girl being traumatized by, and I won't get anywhere near the Pakistanis up north, but they get themselves into situations that we have to try and protect them from themselves. Because life's never easy. Never easy. Andy H, that's one each year. Have I been itching my ear? What are you talking about, you Robin? Rusty Mouse, Andy H, indeed. Stuart Turbot, whatever happened to class? These girls these days, no class. I know. It's like that. If only somebody would. There's all this propaganda online about women wanting high value men. They're not. They're just playthings. And I will, without being misogynistic, when I grew up in Sunderland, there were, scratching me here, probably nervousness. Look, I worked in nightclubs. So I've been very lucky in my time where I've been in long-term relationships, but at the other end, I've also been able to have some fun. But the people that I danced with for fun, I didn't want to be in a long-term relationship with them. They weren't made for my long-term relationships. But the people that I've had long-term relationships with and fallen deeply in love with, I've been so lucky. So lucky. As I said the other night, I'm so lucky to have met the new Mrs. Allen at a stage in my life where I've done all the seed sowing, talking about the clouds today, we'll get to that in a minute. But I've done all that, and I'm sure there are many people that watch this channel and maybe are watching this live on Catch Up where they've been lucky to find someone and have been able to do whatever they've wanted to do in their own time and in their own way, keeping it between the bounds of legality. But these girls, I have little hope for them. And do you know, there are so many young girls that are being assuaged by what goes on online. And there was a Black Mirror episode where some girl was doing it for the clicks and the likes, and somebody had to take them to one side and go, no, it's not about that, because she lived her life through social media. And it was almost as if Black Mirror was almost predicting the future. But now lads are not really interested in relationships because they don't want a girl with a high body count. And it took me a while to understand this, but again, this is not a sexist thing. This is an insight into men. When men find peace with someone, that someone will be around for a long time. Because it's tough, and life, the path can be stony and hard for a man. And when a man finds peace with someone, that's the one. That's the one. I had someone propose marriage to me, but I was just an idiot. And then I met someone that I should have married, but again, I had the choice between career or domesticity, and I chose career, which is why when I was blessed by meeting the new Mrs. Allen, whom I love with everything that I am. I'm obviously not getting tree hugging hippie mad. I knew. So life had taught me the understanding. I had to use all of my skills that I came up with from a very tough background. And a lot of people are like that. I'm no different from many people. But I don't want to come across as preachy. Des Ashton wanted me to be ranty earlier, but I wanted to go a little deeper around this, because we've got kids coming through now that have no sense of who they are. They get their validation externally, not internally. And it's the internal validation that gives them the sense of self and well-being and the ability to understand life and the lessons, and understand that the lesson, if you don't learn it once, it'll come back in a different way. And if you don't learn it, it'll come back again and again and again. But these two girls, it's all about the money. All about the money. And as I think it was Bad Wolf Project said a little earlier that a dad's a Labour councillor or a Labour donator, and she's come from possibly a middle-class background, if that's the case. So it's all a bit... I don't know whether this is... It's kind of MK Ultra. You could go as far as saying MK Ultra and then being designed for this as a distraction. And I am hoping that there is a peaceful week. The transition from one president to another is peaceful, and they can get on with what they need to get on with and allow President Brown Trousers and Camel Toe the alcoholic to just disappear, walk backwards into obscurity. And we can get in this country to a place where we understand we've got a dictatorship and we understand we need to get rid of them. I was thinking about giving you the answer in how to get rid of Keir Starmer tonight, because it's really simple, really simple. But we'll get to that later. Andy Turner says, Rev, a UK-wide Armageddon alert is set to be sent to millions of Brits' phones, causing a loud alarm to sound across the nation. Well, I never, Andy. The system was first launched in 2023. No. It was first brought in by the Labour Party in 2013. That might have been... Was that Gordon Brown? Was he in power at that point? I'm sure it was Tony Blair that sorted it all out. And has already seen action during emergencies such as Storm Dara. 3 million people were told to stay inside. Storm Dara, they're going, 90-mile-per-hour winds. Had a way, man. That's just a bit breezy. Go up to Scotland, 90 mile an hour. It's not even a wind. That's your summer's day in Scotland. So, thank you again, Andy, for just giving the heads up. Andy says they're at it again, old boy. Oh, they're always at it, man. Always. But you see, it's fear porn. Lily Phillips and Bonnie Blue is not fear, but they're using sex to sell. And now they're using fear, the calling it the Emergency Alert System, EAS. Now, I know that there are conspiracies that roll around, and I thought about asking you the question, who actually runs this? And I was going to ask you the question around Infosys, Rishi Sunak's wife's parents' company. But a 90-mile-an-hour wind. I've heard stronger body burps when I've been down the pub with the lads. It was first pushed, I'll say that again, it was first pushed by the Labour Party in 2013. They estimate that there's 87 million gadgets will receive this notification. Why? Storms? They had to change, remember the BBC and all the meteorologists, they had to change the names of the winds because it wasn't scary enough. But 87 million gadgets, there's only 68 million of us in this country, so there's 20 million people got a second gadget. Who's that? All the recreational gear sellers. And they're saying that, when you get the notification on your phone, it's like Tinder. You swipe left or right, however that works. You either swipe it away or press OK. So they've got everybody's phone number or everybody's machine in the country, bar none. They've got absolutely everybody's. Well, I bloody hope they haven't got mine. I've never given them permission. Was that the NHS app? The wrong ones. But who was that? Fred Barker. I turned it off last time. I think I did, but I was going to leave it on. I was thinking, leave it on this time just to see what it's about. And do you know, if you put your phone on silent, it still makes a sound. So even if your phone is on silent, it'll still go off. And then I thought, they're not going to do this until later on in the year. So Andy's actually done us a favour, giving us the heads up. Are they getting ready to tell us about the aliens? Because the deep state will do anything to get the power back. I mean, the Donald. And I will start talking about his inauguration tomorrow. Well, it's his inauguration weekend. But can you imagine Oh, there's aliens outside, and everybody would go, oh no, man, I don't weird shite, man. No, no, no. And then take a peek out the curtains. Oh, bugger me, there's a grey outside. Malia is back again. Welcome to the body of the Kurt, you're wrong. The cell company sends out a general message to all those on its network. It's not an individual thing. You can disable emergency alerts in settings. You only got to do that, but they say that even if your phone's switched off, it'll still send you the alert, or you'll still get the alert, and it'll still go off. So thank you, Andy. Going to ask you a question. No, we'll do the Keir Starmer thing after I've done the inauguration, because we need to get into this, because it's well, it's getting very tasty. You know that I'm a fan of crypto. I'm not a fan of digital currencies that they're going to enforce us with, but at the moment, I'm a fan of the way that digital currencies are. Crypto is. And the Donald, when he gets into power tomorrow, lunchtime their time, which will be, Washington, D.C., so it'll be about 5, 6 o'clock, our time. And he created this Trump meme coin ages ago. And they have no parameters to work to. They have no setup in America. And I'll guarantee you that Donald Trump just unleashing his meme coin, and it literally added in hours, not days, not overnight, hours, an 8 billion budget cap. So he's doubled his worth in 2 or 3 hours because people went mad for it. But there's Ursula von der Leyen ahead of WEF, where she's going to, and I am going to give you a deep dive and an insight into the World Economic Forum in a moment. Are you aware that David Beckham is receiving an award from Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum? What the bloody hell for? Wearing sarongs? I know he's made a few bob in America from his footy team, and he made a few mil from being, England captain in Manchester United. But why is David Beckham receiving an award from what could possibly be one of the most feared and hated organisations on planet Earth? He's never going to get a bloody knighthood. Never. So let's get to the Donald. They've moved the actual inauguration indoors because obviously the security is easier. But are you aware that Donald Trump is using a private security firm? He's not using the CIA. He's not using the deep state. He's not using anything attached to the state. He's using his own private security team. And they won't mess about. They'll be full of special forces. Absolutely chock-a-block. Now, as I say, they'll be gearing up for another dinner today. Nigel Farage is doing a dinner after the inauguration tomorrow night. So Nigel Farage is out there with other people from Reform and Ant Middleton. Wow. How did Ant Middleton work that? Out there with Nigel? Or is Ant Middleton Nigel Farage's close body security? So it's either going to go off without a hitch, the inauguration, or it's not. And I do hope, for the safety of the Western world, that the deep state do not do anything, because they're mightily brassed off at the Donald. Mightily. I mean, as I say, if you get a chance to watch it, just go and look at President Brown Trousers' leaving address. And I don't know how long they got him to do that, or it took for him to do that, but he can barely string a sentence together. And we don't even know whether it's a man called Joe Biden, because it doesn't look anything like Joe Biden that was vice president to Barack Obama. Looks nothing like him. But if you're wearing a mask And it's not a Dick Turpin reference. Yeah, I know the Bad Wolf Project says Middleton wants to do with reform in the London mayoral elections. But we've just had the London mayoral elections. Is that going to be 2028? Is it 4 years? Because now that Little Carnage has got his knighthood, they've got it out for him in London. And I can't stop laughing. Genuinely can't stop laughing because he got some free tickets to a Taylor Swift concert. And now there's questions being asked as to whether, were they freebies and did you declare them? You're wrong. And Khan's just sitting there laughing his cap off, thinking he's arrogant and he's untouchable. But they're after him. They are after him. So I was looking at who was performing this weekend because there's been something going on. I mean, there was the crypto ball on Friday, and that's what I was saying a little earlier. So the crypto ball, the guy that's the head of the CES that oversees crypto in America left because that was his last day in work, and the new boy is his first day on Monday, tomorrow, and the Donald drops his meme coin and it just goes nuts. I mean, insanely nuts. And I had a look at it, couldn't get it, I couldn't buy it. I think it was all Americans. So people around the world couldn't get hold of that meme coin, and it went from zero, like worth nothing, to 20 odd pounds in the blinking of an eye. Its market cap went through the roof, worth billions. Billions. So obviously, I'm not quite sure who could buy it, who's allowed to buy it, but he's not president yet. So it might be him and his family, but everybody's made a shit ton of money. Hang on. Even Suella Braverman and Lawrence Fox are invited. Really? We know somebody who isn't. Now, I was trying to work out the other day, is this something that the royal family go to represent Great Britain or the United Kingdom? Is this something that, because there's all this, when the question was first asked, is Sir Keir Starmer going to be invited to the inauguration? You can tell the 77th were all over this because it's no. There's never been a prime minister invited to inauguration of a president. Maggie was best mates with Ronald Reagan. She didn't go. And I've tried everywhere. So they've eviscerated all the information online. You can't find out. You can't. And then, I mean, I'm not sure the royals would go. Certainly not the king, because the last time they had an argument with the king, America left the empire. The beginning of the empire, nearly 250 years ago. So, no. Markle and Ginger Bollocks won't turn up because they're Democrats. They're the other side of the aisle. Or at least that's what they say they were. Maggie didn't meet Reagan till 3 weeks after the inauguration. It was the same tweet countless times. I know, Soul Rebel. So the 77th were at it. They were trying to make sure that we all went, well, if there's been no prime ministers then, so it doesn't make any difference whether Sir Keir Starmer goes over or not. I am going to give you a theory in just a little while. Because I've told you before, it's all about the timing of stuff. And that's where you get your answers from. So, some woman called Carrie Underwood with a military choir is going to do America the Beautiful tomorrow. Yeah, I get that. Or, they're passionate about their flag and their country. But the village people? The village people first on stage. Can you imagine? YMCA in the freezing cold. And then they've got an act called Rascal Fats. Is that spoonerism? Rascal Rats? Don't know. Who are they? I've never heard of them. I mean, I'm not a country guy. I mean, I don't know. I'm not. In all the genres around the world and all the music that can be made, country is the one that I avoid like the clap. Very good, Theo Bovril. Well, if the Trump doesn't like flamboyant people around him, What's he doing with the village people? UK PMs receive an invite to private discussions with the presidents within 1 month of the inauguration. The so-called special relationship isn't. The US use the UK when it suits them. Thank you, Terry. And there's all this conjecture as to whether I'm Mandy Flyme is a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. He's been on the Lolita Express a few times. He's been out shopping with Jeffrey for belts and freebies and stuff. So is Peter Mandelson going to be the new ambassador to America? And seemingly, the Donald is like no. Well, if he doesn't like flamboyant people around him, he's not going to allow Peter Mandelson around him, is he? So he's going to put the kibosh on that. Alan says, Nigel Farage, former PMs, Boris Johnson and Liz Truss, and ex-Home Secretary Priti Patel are also set to attend. So he's got mates. So he's also got Billy Ray Cyrus performing. I don't know when. I don't know what he's going to sing. Achy Breaky Heart. Or is he going to bring his daughter with him? And then Kid Rock. But you know, hallelujah, no Taylor Swift. Well, obviously, she's a George Soros puppet. They'll know that she's a George Soros puppet, so there won't be any Taylor Swift anywhere near the inauguration, thankfully. So, just to give you a bit of background, because there's loads of conspiracies going and doing the rounds in America around the weather, and they go, no, that's not good enough excuse, man. It's always bloody cold in Washington in January. So putting it indoors, they're going to try and kill him. Yeah, they're going to try and kill him again for reasons I won't go into. Yeah, YMCA, the original. Yeah, Rusty Mouse. Yeah, Village People. Although I did do an interview with the motorcycle cop from the Village People who went on to do an amazing solo career. A friend on Facebook. But yeah, YMCA by the Village People, the original, first on tomorrow. No Taylor Swift. Did I tell you that? There's no Taylor Swift. Oh, thank God. There's no Taylor Swift. Made my day. No bloody Taylor Swift. George Soros puppet. So the 2016 ceremony was held at the, I don't know whether you can picture it in your head, the west front of the Capitol building. The weather conditions for 12 noon, so as I say, about 5 o'clock our time, between 5 and 6 tomorrow, you'll be able to see it live at the end of the day where we've got lots of other stuff happening. So the weather conditions at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport at lunchtime, last time in 2016, and the Ronnie Reagan National Airport is like 3 miles away from where the ceremony would be held, and it was 9 degrees Celsius, 48 degrees Fahrenheit. I know the Americans love it in Fahrenheit, old money, but 9 degrees Celsius, you know how cold that is. If you hear a couple of thuds, just get the brass monkeys with the welding gear. With a 5 mile per hour wind and cloudy. So that was 2016 and they did it outdoors. But what they're saying is it's going to be worse than that. And I'll tell you about that in a second. Trump's going to be sworn in. Trump was sworn in with his left hand on a pair of Bibles. Melania's, obviously. His personal copy, because he's a bit of a Christian, his personal copy and the Lincoln Bible. So it was Abraham Lincoln's Bible that he was sworn in to the presidency with. Now, that was the Donald, aged 70. He was 70 years, 220 days of age at the inauguration day in 2016. At that point, Trump was the oldest person to assume the presidency. 4 years later, in 2021, brown trousers, he was surpassed by Sleepy Joe Biden at 78 years and 61 days. So Joe Biden then became the oldest president to be sworn into the presidency. Now, following the Donald's victory in 2024, Trump is expected to surpass Biden, it's like a tag team, tomorrow, and be 78 years and 220 days. So he surpasses the oldest president ever by what, 159 days. So the brutally low temperatures tomorrow will be comparable to those on the second coldest inauguration day in history. In 1961, when JFK, possibly the most famous president of recent times, he was sworn in and the temperatures didn't get past -5 Celsius. That's 22 Fahrenheit in the afternoon, and there were 8 inches, 20 centimetres, that's why I was referencing it earlier, of snow on the ground. Now, I know they're old and cold, but putting it inside, how many massive heaters are they going to have to put on to keep everybody warm? So, heavy snow scuppered President Franklin Pierce's ceremony in 1853. After overnight snowfall had continued through the morning, skies brightened by noon, but then shortly after the president took his oath of office, snow started again, ruining plans for the parade. I don't know whether the Donald and Melania are going to be able to walk tomorrow, or they're going to have some kind of parade. If it's indoors, he might scootle off, because they know that the deep state are after them. He's already had one assassination attempt, physical assassination attempt. Then they had others who were hiding in bushes for hours on end, and they know that the deep state are really brassed off with him. Wait till the Donald finds out about Keir Starmer. 100 years, 3.6 billion per year, 360 billion over the next 100 years to Ukraine, and the most corrupt government, or certainly president, if I may be so bold, in my view, because he's had hundreds of billions go through that country and they're still getting a kicking from Putin. In 1909, President William H. Taft's ceremony was forced indoors due to a storm that dropped 10 inches of snow over the capital. All the sort of 1800s, there was a president called William Henry Harrison. He was sworn into office on a cold and blustery day. He then rode a horse to and from the Capitol building without a hat or overcoat, obviously from Sunderland. His speech lasted 1 hour and 40 minutes. Honestly, there's not worse, like weddings and people who think that they can do speeches, but an hour and 40 minutes, the longest inauguration speech ever. He caught pneumonia and died soon after. I'm surprised he didn't die from pneumonia during his speech at an hour 40. Interestingly, Ronald Reagan's first term ceremony was the warmest January inauguration, when it got to 13 degrees Celsius, 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So the first job, well, TikTok's going to be one of them, but they reckon he's got at least 100 executive orders that once he's in office, so they're going to leave the inauguration and get straight to the White House, because they've already moved in. That was when the Clintons left the White House. They took loads of stuff with them that they weren't allowed to take. Taking stuff out of the White House as mementos. Grubby. Have you ever seen the film Clinton's Cash? Oi, 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 oi. And there's Bill, who likes a bit of a do with Epstein on his Lolita Express. One of his best clients, seemingly. So the first job tomorrow, executive orders, which will include mass deportations. They're talking about over 100 executive orders. The minute he's done, they get him into the White House and he's signing his life away all afternoon for these executive orders. So all the deportations are going to start, millions of them. I mean, it's just going to be, America's going to go into meltdown. One half are going to be joyous and ecstatic, and the other lot that shouldn't have been there in the first place, who were illegal, they're just going to be deported. Don't send them to us. But poor President Brown Trousers, his farewell address, he was trying to do Trump's knees and, he was trying to play politics. He was calling it, there's going to be an oligarchy installed. There's going to be abuse of power. What the bloody hell did the Democrats do? They were at it in 2020. That election was stolen, in my view. They were coming up with hooky votes, left, right and centre, to get President Poopy Pants into power, because obviously it was ex-President Barack Obama who was actually de facto president, and Brown Trousers was just there for the comedy for the shits and giggles. And President Brown Trousers is saying, Vixtech says, "Oh my God, he's such a hypocrite." I know, I laughed. I sat there and I laughed. I thought, "Boy, you're a chancer, mate." At least your wife, when you were standing next to Emil Macron and his husband, have you seen the Candace Owens fight with Macron? He's going to lose that one. He's definitely going to lose that one. Candace Owens reckons that his wife is actually his husband. Let's see how it goes over the next few weeks. But every which way, President Brown Trousers used to, or did, this address. Sorry, I'm trying to think of 5 things. I've just heard something in from outside, and I'm trying to work out whether there's something going on in my house, and I'm here on my own. So if I disappear, I've just got to take care of business. So President Brown Trousers is talking about extreme wealth and power and influence. This is a bloke that's senile. His wife, that's what I was going to tell you, Jill Biden, Jill and Joe, can you imagine it? I bet they both wear matching hoodies when they're at home. "Oh, darling, shall we wear the purple one tonight? Do I get ice cream?" So the president's senile, the VP's an alcoholic. It's an actor in a mask, because there's been too many incidents of stuff where you can say, "Hang on, that's not him. That's somebody wearing a mask. Is it Jim Carrey?" Looks nothing like the bloke who was vice president of Barack Obama. And he went on to say, "Oh yeah, the climate and clean energy law." He's talking out of his arse because we can hear him. And so could Jill Biden when it was VE Day with the French president, Macron. And Joe was standing next to him, turning the wrong way, looking the wrong way. And then Jill realised he'd shit himself. So I had to walk him away because it was either running down his legs or you could smell how bad it was. But you've got the inauguration happening, and it's... I just hope things can settle down. And we've gotten rid of what it was a catastrophic presidency. America is in turmoil. They've got... Their armed forces are weak. And the amount of corruption that's going to be uncovered over the next 4 years, because he's already said he's going to debar some of the judges that use lawfare to get him into court. He's the commander-in-chief. What he says goes. So he's going to finish people's careers in the judiciary. They're all gone. And they thought that they were going to do it and they were going to stop him from getting into the presidency. Joe Biden actually thought that he was going to get a second term. He was catastrophic for America. He was catastrophic for the West. Everything. And they were shed-loading money into Ukraine and into Israel. And there's Bibi Netanyahu, just to kind of give him a passing mention. They had $110 billion worth of support from America. And what have they done? Netanyahu saying, "Oh, look, if they don't return the hostages and they don't do it in our time, well, then it's the ceasefire is temporary." Because everybody knows, while he's a war president, he can't be removed. And when it's all over and peaceable, he goes to jail, which is why the proctologist had his finger up his arse. "Oh, come on, Bibby, bend over, man. Let's see if you're... Oh, I say. Right, we better take a biopsy." So he'll go on ill health and they won't be able to prosecute him. Sly old dog. That's why he's been kicking off the last few years. The most secure country in the world. The most secure borders in the world. And some raggy arse camel shagger gets over and breaks down their security. Hardware and shite, man. And they get 110 billion out of the Americans. Where's that going to go then? And Ukraine. Zelensky, I've told you before, as soon as that war's over, Mrs. Zelensky is going to be straight over to Paris to pick that Bugatti up for $6 million. And bags and shoes. For Volodymyr, not for her, for him. And then the most hated man, in my view. This country's seen in a long time, and there's been some horrible, horrid characters. He's just coughed up 100 years worth of support, 360 billion, and he couldn't cough up $1.5 billion to look after the pensioners in this country. No, he's skewed, that man. He's literally lost it up here. If you can, the pensioner harmer can't come up with $1.5 billion, and Rachel from accounts agrees with him, and Rachel from accounts and Starmer the harmer are in WEF this week. The pair of them. Now, she's obviously got the begging bowl out because the Chinese have given her some money. But Starmer the pensioner harmer is spunking £360 billion to Ukraine over this 100 years. And he couldn't come up with $1 billion for winter fuel allowance for the pensioners? No. I'm gonna give you something. And the reason I'm giving you this something is because the way the mainstream media, which is manipulated, kowtows to government buy them off with advertising in their papers, so the papers can keep going. And I quote this figure lots and lots and lots because it's a fact. The Sun newspaper lost £50 million in 1 year, in 12 months. And they were only kept going by government handouts in the form of advertising. So what happens when a story comes out? And I have to, the person that sent me this will remain anonymous, but they will know who they are when I start reading this out. When a story hits the newspapers and it lands one morning and that story is gone the day after, the government's had a hand in this. If I was to give you the name James Scott Rees Anderson, you wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about, would you? You'd think I'd lost my mind. Too much hibiscus. But I'm going to read this for a reason. James Scott Rees Anderson. He's fucking special forces. Best yet, he is more than likely an officer, or as they would call it in the special forces, a Rupert. The Russians know who and what he is. They may out him later this week. Why do I say they know all about him? He was captured intact. Not a mark on him, not even a bruise. Go check the newspaper reports of other British mercenaries when they were captured. Ivan kicked the shit out of them. I think he was targeted. Someone told the Russians who he was and where he was. They slipped in and lifted him. Listen to him talk. Very posh. And look at him. Very, very calm and collected. He's playing the game. Now, before I go on, remember what I told you. Important stories disappear. If you've got a special forces officer, a Rupert, who's been captured by the Russians in Ukraine, this has to be stopped. And it was stopped. Except my writer has an insight into these things. So he was very well spoken for a Pongo, don't you think? But a signaller is what they call themselves, not a signal man. Very, very calm. And even for someone being interrogated, it's almost like he's done the whole thing a few times. Part of the training. They will hold him till either he decides to tell the truth or they will persuade him over the next few days. All special forces are taught during RTI resistance to interrogation training. Have a cover story. All special forces are trained as signallers to a high standard. Easy to pretend to be a signaller for a couple of days. The 252 Squadron, 22 Signals Regiment, which is part of 1 Signals Brigade. Cover is often used. Signallers aren't known for their fighting abilities. Note, 22 is in the unit, in case he is sleepy and is asked, "Are you from 22 SAS?" As affirmative answer can be recanted by stating, "I thought you meant 22 signals." If you read Jason Fox's life story, it's a bog standard Special Forces cover story, working for a signals unit. In fact, it's the same story this prick is using just now, even down to the unit. One other thing kind of backs it up. There's major panic in certain areas of the MOD, that's a Ministry of Defence. The last couple of days can see I'm going to be highly entertained and amused over the next few days. Oh, and the thing about recalling an MP by petition, you are half right, but in order to start the petition, the MP has to have been convicted of a crime or following on a report from the Committee on Standards in relation to the MP. Do you want me now? Thank you to the writer. I'll leave it as anonymous, but do you want me to tell you how Starmer can go? Now, it is entirely down to you. It takes a little bit of work, but it's quite easy. All of those backbencher MPs do not want to be deselected at the next general election. So if you write to your MP, can be scribble, can be crayon, can be email. If you write to your local MP and say, "I am not happy with what is being done to this country, and therefore I will be getting all of my friends to deselect you when the next general election comes." Now, most MPs need to stay in Parliament for 2 terms. The reason why they stay for 2 terms as a minimum is because then that is their pension for the rest of their life. So a backbencher MP is currently being paid about £91,000 per year, plus she gets all the other add-ons of secretaries and this and that and the other. And if they stay as an MP for 2 terms, they get that £91,000 per year for the rest of their life as a pension. Fact. So if any of these newbies have only done less than 1 term, they're going to be, I was going to use the term knee trembler, but isn't appropriate. Their knees will shake and quake. And that includes the Conservatives, that includes Labour, that includes the namby-pamby pinko Liberal Democrats. All of them. Just write to them. You have that right. And listen, if you ever go down to London, say you're going to a show or something, you can go to the Houses of Parliament. You can ask to be allowed to enter the sort of Westminster Hall, and you can ask to see your MP. And they have to come down, if they're in the Houses of Parliament, in the Palace of Westminster, they have to come and see you. But exactly that says votes from the migrants will keep them in. They've firstly got to give them citizenship of this country before they can vote, or they've got to change the law, which means that anybody can vote without any ID. No wonder bloody Labour was a bit brassed off with George Galloway getting in on the Muslim vote. How very dare he? That's ours. So that's how you can make Sir Keir Starmer very, very nervous, and you can make the puppet masters that are sitting upstairs in the shadows. Keir Starmer's not the one making the decisions. He's not. He's being told what to do by Klaus Schwab and WEF and those up in the shadows who don't want their power base queered by any stretch of the imagination. Pun not intended. Alan says postal vote doesn't need ID, but you've got to be on the, surely you've got to be on the council list. Hang on, just looked, that's not true. What are you talking about, bounce the mouse? What isn't true? Parliamentary Contributory Pension Fund, MP's Pension Scheme, Final Salary Section, Guide for Scheme Members. Does it say how many terms they've got to do? Unless they've changed it. 2 terms. Go on, bounce the mouse. Yeah, passports floating in the seas. We'll get back to that in a second. I'm just seeing where I am with things. Cool, blimey. You can't half talk, Adrian. Because I am going to talk about someone who has disappeared. Bounce the mouse. Just, if you can, just the only point that we're looking for is how many terms an MP has to serve to be given their final salary pension, which is not career average, it's final salary. And the final salary is at least 91 grand. I mean, they're at it. They're at it. I will give you another example. So back in, I think it was 97, 98. No, that was the Labour Party were in. It must have been 99, 2000. I was still doing Century in the North East, so it might have been 99. The MPs voted to give themselves, or to enable themselves to be able to take 25% of their pension contributions as cash without paying tax. Nobody else, just the MPs. So they awarded themselves 200 grand in pension contributions, and they took 25% of their pension contributions at that point as cash. Free gratis, cash. Give yourself 200 grand, and if your pot's worth $1 million, you're taking 250 grand out as cash. Can you see how they're corrupt? Can you see how power corrupts? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Look at the fizzog on bloody Starmer. Now, hang on, where's me Starmer thing? So let's talk about the most hated man in this country. I'm going to ask you a question, and it's now for your vote. Houses that have 10 voting family members all doing postal vote are all filled in by the dominant man of the house. Really? Thank you, in the field. Terry Wookfit, lots of people have disappeared. Matthew McGreevy? Has he? Thought he was in Carlisle. But as I was saying, Terry, the news cycle is hours. It's not days. It's not 24 hours. It's hours. And that piece about the Rupert that was caught in Ukraine, it disappeared within hours. They didn't publish it again in the papers, and it was not online anywhere. So if you look at what happens tomorrow, for example, we'll do Starmer before I get to the World Economic Forum, and then someone has disappeared. And that's why I read that out, because there's somebody very, very, very important that's disappeared. And when I say the name and I give you the background, you'll go, oh yeah, where have they gone? So hang about for a little while. I'm going to blow your mind. So let's have a look at the pensioner harmer, Starmer. 99 reasons, but Ukraine ain't one of them. Who, and I'm sure you're more adept at, hang on a second, Bad Wolf Project. Pension age and terms, pension benefits generally require a minimum of 2 years of service to be vested. Retirement age aligns with the state pension age for new members under the care scheme. That's new members. If you look the fact that I quoted, when they gave themselves hundreds of thousands of pounds towards their pension contributions and then took a 25% tax-free in cash, they didn't do that because they thought everybody should get it. It took us, must have been nearly 20 years before they allowed the grunts, the great unwashed, to have the same privileges. But nobody, service members and civil servants, can also commute up to a third of their pensions on award tax-free. Ooh, I say. Because we know that it's not the politicians that run Parliament. We know that it's not the politicians that run the Palace of Westminster. It's the bloody uncivil servants. They tell a lot of the ministers what they can and can't do. Bad Wolf Project. Final salary scheme prior to 2015. Well, there you go. MPs used to earn a pension based on their final salary for every year they served. They accrued a proportion of their final salary. But you're not giving me the answer. I'm giving you a fact. They had to do 2 terms to be then given their pension, final salary pension, which is the backbenchers. If it's Prime Minister or a minister, they get ministerial wage. So anybody that's been Prime Minister, Liz Truss et al., they can be paid that as their final salary once they leave Parliament after 2 terms. So Kemi Badenoch, she's been an MP for 8 years. She's now leader of the opposition. If she stepped away from politics tomorrow, she would get leader of the opposition, the shadow PM for that, as her final salary for the rest of her life. The Hugh Bovril, yes, 2 terms, 10 years. Now, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but pre-2015, I've been using this fact for 20 odd years, since 97, since the corrupt Labour Party got into power the first time round. Let's get into Sir Keir Starmer, because there's a couple of things that I want to talk to you about. We'll get to Auschwitz in a moment. So he goes across to Ukraine, sees Zelensky, Sniffy, who we know to be corrupt, in my view, because all we've got to do is look at all the money that America gave to Ukraine, all the money that the French and the British and the Germans and the support and armaments that we all gave Ukraine. Where did it all go? Bugattis in Paris? When the word went out that Mrs. Zelensky was buying a Bugatti from Bugatti in Paris, oh, Bugatti went absolutely nuts. They covered that story up and it was gone within hours. Gone. She's not buying a Bugatti. She's not been here. She's not buying a Bugatti. Story done, finished, over. Never reared its ugly head again, did it? But have you heard that Zelensky owns a hotel in Eilat? Where did he get the money for that? He's some raggy-ass president of the most corrupt country in the world. Wonder where he got that money from. They're talking about the Zelensky family owning properties all over Europe. Where did they get the money for that from? I mean, like, you know, Britain, we have a prime minister who gets, what, £160,000 a year, give or take, as prime minister. And he's buying hotels in Eilat, in Israel. Because you know that Zelensky and the Ukrainians are right-wing Nazis, don't you? Oh, you've never been told that before? Well, they wouldn't, would they? No, the wonder the right-wing, the Nazis, want to take on the communists. There's pictures all over the net of some of the troops and what they do and how they salute and what flags they've got in the background. Doesn't take Einstein to work it out. But this is Keir Starmer, the pensioner harmer. He goes across to Ukraine. And I want to know this. We do not have a presidency in this country. You know that. I know that. But more importantly, the 650 scurrilous, corrupt idiots in the Pink Palace also know this. So who gave Starmer the permission to support Ukraine in this way? Who gave him permission? 3.6 billion per year for 100 years. He already said before he was getting into power, we will support you £3 billion a year for the next 5 years. And Zelensky's like, how many Bugattis is that? 2 and a bit. So why didn't Parliament debate it? This is a 100-year agreement. Why didn't Parliament debate it? We have a chamber of 650 members of Parliament, the Palace of Westminster, and we have a Prime Minister. He's the top bod, but it's by committee and it's by chamber. And if we were entering into 100 years of agreement, That should have been debated in the chamber. Look, we had Saddam Hussein, clear and present danger. I quote, 45 minutes he has weapons of mass destruction. They debated that day and night in the House. The other day, if there's a contentious bill, it's always debated by the members of Parliament, and then they have a vote on it. And this time, Starmer just appears in Ukraine going, oh, don't worry, Sniffy, yeah, we've got a 100-year agreement. Who decided that? Klaus? Is that why he's going to the World Economic Forum this week? Look, he was there last year, as was Rachel Reeves. This year, Liz Truss, Priti Patel, Boris Johnson, Rachel Reeves, Starmer, they're all there. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to look at the money. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to take a deep dive into the World Economic Forum in a moment to give you ammunition. So why weren't the backbenchers complaining about this 100-year agreement? Nobody, I venture, nobody knew about the 100-year agreement. Yeah. Who said that? Tom, thank you. The Lords should have debated as well. Yeah, it goes through the initial chamber, the Palace of Westminster, boof, into the Lords. The Lords very rarely say no. They will say amend it, and then it'll go back to the Commons to be voted on again, and boof, it's through. But I'm suggesting to you that Starmer was told to do it. Because peace is going to be announced in days. The minute that Trump gets into Ukraine. And remember what the Americans did. They started saying you can't just have free money, because they obviously saw how many Bugattis they've got outside their house and how many hotels they now own in Eilat. They started telling the Ukrainians, Zelensky in particular, this is a loan, Volodymyr. This is a loan. Starmer didn't even say £360 billion. It's not even a loan. It's free gratis. There you go, Bonnie lad. We're not going to ask for it back. Who gave Starmer permission to do that? Days before peace. And I will hazard a guess that that man, in his arrogance, thinks that he can do whatever he wants. And we've got a man going into power tomorrow that's going to teach this boy a lesson. They're going to teach him, Starmer, to know his place. So if Trump gets into power and then says to Vladimir Putin, here, Vlad, let's pack it all in. We'll give you some money. We'll make sure that Ukraine's not part of the United Nations. We'll make sure that the blue caps don't go in. And they'll never be part of the United Nations. Will you stop fighting? Yeah. Volodymyr, you've had loads of money. Let's take another 3,000 years to pay us back. Will you stop fighting? Yeah. Right, peace, done. And we've still got a 100-year agreement that Starmer's gone in and agreed with Ukraine and the president of Ukraine with no backing from this country. And as I say, and I'll make this point again, £1.6 billion would have given the pensioners that needed to be given the winter fuel allowance, And this man spunked £360 billion to the Ukrainians. And he thinks that, well, 4,000 dead pensioners don't really matter. Collateral damage, our pensioners. And he's given 360 billion away to Ukraine. How very fucking dare he. You know that President Poopy Pants, brown trousers, Biden had $90 million worth of kickbacks from the Ukrainian spending. The Americans that gave all the money to Ukraine, Biden alone got a kickback of $90 million. That's generational wealth. So let's get to Auschwitz, because this boiled my pish. going to ask you a question. Who paid for that visit? And I'm being facetious. It was me and you. I'm going to ask you another question. Why did Starmer take his 10 Downing Street photographer with him to Auschwitz? Who paid for that? Kia? Mate? We know it was the taxpayer. You love a jolly. You love a private jet. You've been in the air more times than bloody Biggles, you. So why did he take his 10 Downing Street photographer? And have you seen the photographs? There's no crowds there. Look at his Madeira holiday. 3-hour queue to go on the toboggan. And Starmer pitches up with his kids. Yeah, they'll go first. Entitled arse. And then he says, while he's at Auschwitz, it was terrible. It was, I vow, because you know his wife's Jewish. You know his kids are Jewish. And he's not. Well, I don't know for sure. But one, a Catholic's not allowed to be Prime Minister, although somebody said to me a few weeks ago that they've changed that law. Have they? Really? The Pope can be Prime Minister? How do we end shite, man? And Jews can't be Prime Minister or anyone of the Jewish faith. Do you know, Terry? No truer word said in jest. Terry Wookford says he was looking at Auschwitz wondering if he could do the same here. Don't give him ideas, Terry. So I'm going to ask you this. He said, and he vowed to fight the poison of anti-Semitism, which is racism. He's vowing to fight the poison of anti-Semitism. His bloody parliamentary Labour Party and the membership around the country is full of bloody anti-Semites. If you look at Jeremy Corbyn, he was arrested yesterday. Gaza, Gaza, Gaza. Did you tell them it's not a bloody football player? And now the police are panicking because they've got a former leader of the Labour Party, anti-Semite, protesting for the Gazans. And Keir Starmer is vowing to fight the poison of anti-Semitism. Mate, just get back from Switzerland. Just get back from Davos and deal with the shit in your own party. But you won't, will you? Labour is full of Marxist anti-Semites. So at which point is he going to take on his own party? So I need to ask you a question. Because I can't be reasoned and measured when, what was the Benjamin Disraeli quote? A man can only truly act from his passions. When they're talking about racism, oh, it's the far right. Does he know where Israel sits on the political spectrum? No, evidently not. But his wife does. It's somewhere right at Genghis Khan. So it's these things that come out of his mouth. He doesn't even know what he's saying. He's supposed to be a barrister. He's supposed to be a very clever bloke. He's as thick as pig shit, this man. Because he doesn't know what the path is. He doesn't know where we're going. He doesn't know how to lead us. He doesn't. Melvin P. Do a phone in and be measured. Melvin, have you listened to any of me rants that are in the playlist, the radio playlist? When was the last time I did a measured phone in? Correct. So I'm going to ask you a question. No. Oh, Napoleon blown apart. Yes, they're all corrupt. Good to see you, Napoleon blown apart. I'm so glad that you're here. Because, I mean, I know that you're in the States, but what's going on this weekend and over the next 24, 48 hours, I mean, it's going to be a wild ride. I'd love to have your take on what's going on in America, Napoleon. So I'm going to ask you this question. How much do you hate? And it's a very strong word. It's a very subjective word. and it's a very emotional word. But I'm using it because I can't see any other emotion. I can't see through this to be reasoned, measured, and appropriate. Because of what he's done to our pensioners, what he's done to the waspy women, what he's doing for himself because he doesn't give a flying. Because he thinks Klaus Schwab, who is technically 86 years old, so he's not got much longer, he'll be shuffling off soon. How much do you hate Keir Starmer? Rate it 1 to 10. How much do you hate Sir Keir Starmer? I could ask you for what he's done to this country. How he projects himself onto the electorate that voted him in technically. I know some people will say, Adrian, hate is a very strong word. But it's an emotional response to the way that him and his party, the party of the working man and woman, that they have abjectly distanced themselves from, and he doesn't care. There's no empathy or compassion. He looks like a man that's just had a dildo shoved up his arse. Thank you, Stephen. One to 10. Some people will say 8 or 9, maybe. He's just doing his best, given the circumstances. Me, 11. I can't... Look, doing the research for these lives and for the videos that I do for the channel, I really struggle with him. For, as I said, the NHS, he's got a plan for the NHS. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Wait till I talk about the MP that has disappeared. So everybody is pretty much Angelic Inspirations, 11, The Bovril, 11, Fred Barker, 10, Garen Davis, very clever, 666. Lauren Taylor, 300 billion. Or should that be 360 billion, Lauren? William Atkinson, there's not a number big enough. Vix Tex, Keir Starmer undermines UK culture. I know. But this is not a question. It's not rhetoric. But if we look at the Labour Party, there's every chance that this man's going to go. He's going to hang on for dear death. He's going to cling on to the wreckage that is the Labour Party. And he's going to try and stay as long as he can until they start knifing him in the background. And then he'll say, we'll have a snap election. Bit like Sunak. Sunak knew he was done, finished, gone. Didn't need the hassle. Snap election. The Labour Party are finished. I don't think reform is ready. I don't think that Musk and Cummings and a new party in this country are ever going to get into power or be ready for a general election, let alone the council elections in May. I mean, was there 14 councils that have said they're going to shift it? It's corrupt. Starmer, the original Klingon. Brilliant, the Bovril. So I kind of get your take on things. Because everybody just hates him. And as I've said before, I don't want this channel and these lives just to become an echo chamber, because that doesn't benefit anyone. I'm more than happy for people to challenge what I say, more than happy for people to debate. No, I'm not going to use a mass debate. You're wrong. But the problem is we have left field politics that say they know what they're doing. They don't even know what a woman is. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing to our kids. And yet, we're only ever allowed right-wing or left-wing politics. We're either allowed blue or red. We only are allowed this and that and the other. The Tories, the Labour Party, and they call it democracy. How do we end shite? Every single MP should be independent in that house. Every single MP. We need to stop party politics, because that's the ruination of the land. And if they debate something as they have done, and I've watched some of the debates over the last few months, they are impassioned sometimes, and let them be impassioned as an independent member of Parliament, not being told by the whips, you have to vote for this, otherwise the shite's going to end up in the national press and you are going to lose your career. Shall we talk about coincidences before I get into the World Economic Forum? 3 days before Trump comes in, there's a ceasefire arranged in Gaza. And then Biden goes, well, I'm president, so I've done that. And the whole world's turned around and gone, you can't even stay on a bloody pedal cycle. You can't even eat an ice cream without it going all over your nose and your shirt. So you couldn't arrange this in a month of Sundays. And then the whole world is saying, well, that's Trump. Trump said he was going to do this. But nasty brown trousers said, oh, I did this. I'll go down in history as this president doing this. In the words of the great Chinese philosopher, you can foxtrot Oscar, mate. You couldn't do anything for 4 years, or you're alcoholic VP. So here's the coincidences that are all going to come. The alignment of the stars tomorrow. Your ducks are going to be in a row. Look at these coincidences tomorrow. The ceasefire in Gaza. And brown trousers is trying to nick the glory. There's all those trials starting tomorrow. But I've had so much information go through my brain in these last 7 days. It's very difficult to keep hold of absolutely everything. But there was one appearance at court where they didn't submit a plea, and it was a not guilty plea as automatic. Well, normally I thought if he didn't submit a plea, it's a guilty plea automatically. But no. And then I'm sure that they delayed, because there was two. There was the Manchester and the Southport, and I'm sure they delayed, and I'm just talking about process here. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm just talking about process. So Manchester was delayed until February, and I was sure that Southport was also delayed on Friday at court. A magistrate's court was sent to Crown Court. That was Manchester, but I'm sure that the Southport was also done that. This week, now, watch for Starmer on Wednesday, because he's got to be here for PMQs. Is he going to WEF Sunday to Tuesday or Sunday to Wednesday morning? Or is he doing PMQs and then flying out to Davos Wednesday afternoon? Because it's 20th to 25th. It is Monday through to Friday morning. And that's when they leave. But we'll get to the World Economic Forum in a moment. The coincidences, there's the second reading of the Climate and Nature Bill on the 24th. That's the last day of WEF. The chief executive of TikTok is at the Trump inauguration, and look how quickly they've come to a deal. That's very good, Vix Tex. Joe Biden is a legend in his own mind in the ice cream shop. So the Donald's going to extend the negotiations for 90 days. They'll sort it all out. All of it. But if you think about it, Vladimir Putin has the wherewithal, the skills, the leadership, and the intercontinental ballistic missile to sort all of the world's problems out. They're all in Davos. And we've seen the intercontinental ballistic missile land in Ukraine at Mach 4. They won't even have time in Davos to go, what the f... But here's the kicker. Trump is going to attend WEF via Zoom. Intermediate ballistic missile. I knew you put me right, Terry. So look at Starmer. If he's there for PMQs, has he been before and then just come back? The questions, it's the usual scripting. Kemi Badenoch's as weak as anything. She should be talking about the grooming gangs. She should be talking about the thing on everybody's lips, not the wildfires. It's what's going on in the north of the country. This fact, these things are even making world media. Jordan Peterson's daughter, is it Michaela? She's now talking about 250. This video appeared as I was doing my research earlier. She's now talking about 250,000 victims, and the whole world is outraged. Just watch Starmer this week, because he's definitely going to WEF, whether it's before or after PMQs. Rachel Reeves, she's got the begging bowl out, because they can't raise taxes anymore, because literally there will be people on the streets with pitchforks. She can't, so she's going to go begging. And they don't care whether they beg all the money. They don't care whether they put this country and our debt at 110, 120, 130% of GDP, gross domestic product. Go on, Terry. So Terry's written, no defence to be presented by Ruda Cabana's lawyers on the eve of the trial. I can reveal to the public that Axel Ruda Cabana's defence lawyers intend to offer no defence against the 16 crimes. So he didn't say anything on Friday. Trial starts tomorrow, seemingly. Axel Ruda Cabana is not going to provide a defence case statement. He says he can offer no positive case on his behalf. He is not offering evidence as a defence. The prosecution must prove the allegations. I think we need to leave that at that. I know that your sources are impeccable, Terry, but we can't talk about... we can talk about the case generally, but I'd rather not. I don't want to usurp the process of law. I don't want to usurp anything other than the process has to be seen to be done. Right, okay, thank you, Terry. I'll do it because I want to report on the case. I can only technically report on the case as it happens, but it'll be interesting to see what comes out tomorrow, Terry, because this country is a tinderbox. No, I won't comment any further for legal reasons. So we'll talk about, and I know we've been going quite a while this evening. I do hope you can stay with me for another 15, 20 minutes or so, because I do want to talk about the World Economic Forum and somebody that you hadn't realised had disappeared. I'm going to give you the reason why they've disappeared. So the World Economic Forum, how's it made up? 3,000 delegates, 1,000 private jets, motorcades up to Davos from Zurich. Now, I've done the train journey many, many times. I mean, it's breathtaking. The scenery is beautiful, but the road up to Davos, it's bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper. Certainly yesterday and today, everybody's trying to get into Davos today to get ready for tomorrow. And this is how things work, because I'm going to give you information. This is how Davos works. It is the World Economic Forum. It is Klaus Schwab's baby. He was the guy that thought about it. But it started off named something else, and it's only been the World Economic Forum. And they had an agreement with Davos, the town, for 50 years, which finished last year. And they must have got some kind of agreement. They were thinking about taking it elsewhere in the world. I know that there's not just one World Economic Forum per year. There's a couple. I know there's a summer one and this winter one, but it's the winter one that's based in Davos and in winter. But Epstein and P. Diddy had the right idea, because what they have is compromise. So can you imagine all of the politicians who love an away day who love to get away for a couple of days, the dancing ladies, the dancing girls are filling Davos. Now, that's kind of the red tops. That's the tabloids giving you their version. But I will tell you something. For the dancing girls to get into Davos is pretty challenging. Why? Because there's going to be 4,000 Swiss troops in Davos this week. You cannot get in. You can't just pitch up. Like some of these news channels are going, oh yeah, we're going to Davos. Good luck with that. If you're trying to get off the train in Davos, there's already troops in Zurich, the head of the line, all the way up, all there, making sure that you can't get in. And then you get to the, it's Davos Platz. Some people might get off at Cloisters and then try and get a taxi round. They still can't because the troops are there. There's one road in and one road out. It's at the top of a mountain. It's 5,000 and odd feet above sea level, 1,540 meters above sea level. That's nearly a mile above sea level, and nothing goes in and nothing comes out without the troops knowing exactly what's going on. Look, the last time I was there, I watched the troops, the Swiss troops, dismantling everything. Because I got there on the Saturday, it had finished on the Friday, and I still saw all of the stuff being dismantled by the troops. And the security teams don't let you in. So all these people going, oh, yeah, well, we're just, we're going up to Davos. Good luck with that. I think you're lying. Because we've tried to drive around Davos on the Saturday when the World Economic Forum was finished, and there was still security going, you can't go down there. And the reason why the dancing girls are trying to get into Davos, obviously, the money, but they can compromise the powerful. So if you look at all the deviants, the ne'er-do-wells, and the miscreants, and I'm using these light terms, James Bond could get in easy, says Alan. Hey, you try parachuting in? We'll take pot shots at you. Honestly, I've seen the army, I've seen the armed response, I've seen the police. There's literally thousands upon thousands upon thousands of security people. And if they make a mistake, their career's at stake. They don't make mistakes. They don't let anybody in. They get pretty grumpy if you start challenging them. I just want to go down there. No, you can't go down there. Oh, it's just down there. I'll just park the car there. No, you won't. I've had that conversation. And I've had that conversation with a cop carrying a gun. Just want to go down there. Just going to pick that. No, you can't. But it's just down there. Look, my apartment's over there. I'm just going to... No, you're not. Park your car at your apartment and walk. Tell you, walk fit. Funnily enough, a lot of delegates bring their own entertainment. Now, there's a place to investigate sex trafficking. I agree with you. I mean, I've walked... It takes about... To give you a sense of how big Davos is or isn't, you can walk end to end in about 25 minutes. The main part of Davos, where the apartments are, where the hotels are, and there's sort of two levels. You take the high road, I'll take the low road. There's two main roads that go through it. It takes about 25 minutes. At a decent walking pace to go from end to end. I could travel at Mach 4, Garen. But the New York Post reckons that the dancing girls are charging $2,500 a night. Hard away in shite, man. Where'd you get those figures from? $2,500 a night. That's not even a round of drinks. Do you know how expensive Switzerland is? So the New York Post trying to be clever, saying, "Oh yeah, you can pick a dancing girl up for $2,500 a night." Don't be silly. They charge much, much more than that. Not that I know, because I haven't got a pot to pee in. But I will tell you that if you want to have a hotel room, you're going to pay maybe about $600, more than that in Swiss francs, because Switzerland is a very expensive place to be. And there are some restaurants right in the centre of Davos that are fabulous. There's an Italian there that I can't remember the name of. It's fabulous. We've eaten there loads because the food is absolutely pucker and it's not expensive. But if you want to go to the World Economic Forum, it is strictly by invitation only. You can't just rock up. Your accreditation, and there's 3,000 delegates. You can do your own maths here. The accreditation will cost every single delegate at least £20,000. Now, considering that the average 3-bedroom apartment, because all the people of Davos, all the shops, or literally anything where you can clear it out and then dress it up for meetings and networking, and because everybody's there, literally everybody. BlackRock, XRP, if you're into crypto, if you know what I'm talking about, all the tech companies, Facebook, Google. Wouldn't surprise me if X is there, if Musk is in there somewhere. But you can hire a 3-bedroom apartment, a very decent 3-bedroom apartment, for £42,000 for the week. This is not for the poor. As I say, Davos is over 5,000 feet above sea level. Now, if you're a delegate, have a guess who pays? Correct. Me and you. So I was going to Davos, and I was going to go into the conference center, and I was going to sit there, and I was going to do all the glad handing, and I was going to do all the breakfast meetings, and I was going to do all the evening meetings after Klaus has done all his presentations and they've decided what they want to talk about. There's a hierarchy within Davos and the World Economic Forum. So those that are proper delegates, they get white badges, and it's kind of badge envy. So you get a white badge, and that's for the delegates and the spouses. So can you imagine? The Starmers have just been to Ukraine and then Auschwitz, straight over to Davos. And because he's Prime Minister, he's not even a delegate. There's a level above delegates. But Mrs. Starmer can go with him, and she'd be a white badge holder. And a white badge holder is revered in Davos and the World Economic Forum. And they also give strategic partners those white badges, or giving them so many limited passes, so many white badges. So the most exclusive badge in Davos for the World Economic Forum is the kind that gets you access to behind the scenes, to the secret stuff that, the average grunt politician can't get access to. It's officially known as the Informal Gathering of World Economic Leaders. So you see, it's a bit like a P. Diddy party. You go in for the party, everybody has a good time, and then the special ones are off to the after party, and then the special ones are on to the after party. So the dancing girls, if they're in Davos, they'll be picking up, it won't be one for the night. It won't be girlfriend experience. It'll be, right, I'm on to my next victim. And this exclusive badge has a holographic sticker on it. Have you seen the circular thing with all the colours of the rainbow on it? That one. Bill Gates has got one of them. Now, the people that they invite are the chief executive officers and representatives from the world's biggest corporations, politicians and heads of state from the G20. Last year, they were complaining that there was too many Chinese in Davos. And yet, they're saying, oh, well, the president of China's not coming this year. It might be the vice president is going to the inauguration of Donald Trump. But Davos was flooded with Chinese last year because people talk about the American economy. It's bust with $36 trillion of debt, but the Chinese are owning everybody. 600 million to Rachel from accounts. Oh, thank you, Your Honour. Thank you, Your Honour. There are other key countries, technology innovators, social entrepreneurs, philanthropists, media companies, and royals. Because Charles the Weak loves a bit of WEF. But I am going to talk about the royals in a moment. Let me just interject with this. King Charles, or Buckingham Palace released that they said that King Charles, with sad news, as he prepares to return to Buckingham Palace for public duties this week. We don't know what that is. We don't know whether it's his cancer or whether his youngest son is going to get a divorce from the American. We don't know. Any guesses? Will William and Kate? They've been invited to the inauguration, but will William and Kate go? It's unknown whether they will attend, but they've had the invite as a courtesy. Is Charles going to go to WEF? But he's returned to Buckingham Palace. But we know that he was going to go to Auschwitz on Holocaust Memorial Day on my birthday, January 27th. And he's hightailing it back to Buckingham Palace to deal with sad news. And he's having a freak off. Who said that? You're wrong. Ernst, very good, very funny. So we kind of get the level that the World Economic Forum attendees are and will be in Davos. As I say, at least 4,000 Swiss guards, Swiss troops in Davos. Swiss guards is the Catholics. Now, the Congress Centre, where it's taking part, has been newly extended in between last year and this year. With the correct colour of identity pass. David Beckham is in Davos as a recipient, one of 3, there's only 3 this year, of a Crystal Award. What for? What is David Beckham doing fraternising with the World Economic Forum? It's not the Ballon d'Or. The people that are invited have to reach certain criteria. So the companies that are invited are worth over £5 billion to attend or to have membership. And they have to pay about £500,000 a year to be able to go and have their meetings and do what they do within Davos. Because it's the elite of the elite of the elite. So companies worth over 5 billion pay fees to attend. About 400, they were complaining that it went up 20% last year. This is all in the public domain. This is. I'm not giving you anything that can be contentious or said to be contentious. This is all in the public domain. So if the company is worth over 5 billion, and David Beckham is certainly not worth over 5 billion. I mean, Terry Wookford saying that Beckham's award for his work for kids. Does he know how many PDFs will be in Davos? Exactly. It's a big club and you ain't in it. You will own nothing and be happy. So the turnover, as I say, the fees are about 600,000 to be there, over £500,000. And my experience of Davos, the whole of the high streets, everything, all the shops everywhere is converted into meeting spaces, and they will do things around who they know is attending. But you have to be high up the food chain, and the higher up the food chain you go, the more access you get. And the high streets, I mean, I've walked them many, many times. Because it's kind of a skiing resort, but the snow in Davos is not as great as Cloisters, and Cloisters is Charles the Week's favourite skiing resort. He loves Cloisters, loves the skiing there. I'm not sure at his age he'd be allowed to go skiing, although he's got the skills. He's an amazing skier. And there's flags everywhere. There's national flags everywhere. There's, it's World Economic Forum, World Economic Forum, World Economic Forum. What they don't fly is the Schwab sticker. And I'm being facetious. So I've got one more thing to present to you, and I've kept it to last for a reason. It's going to take me about 5 or 10 minutes because I know we're running quite a bit. I'm going to say this to you. No. Who's there? Jess. Jess who? Ah, well, a week's a long time in politics. Have you not noticed who's not at PMQs? Who's not on TV? Who's not giving any interviews? Who's not being reported on? Correct. Jess Phillips. Remember her? And I was looking at her. She has a website. You can go and look at it yourself. I think it's been sanitized. I think everything on the net's been sanitized about it because they know that this, for the Labour Party, could do for them. But I'm going to read something out. And the reason I'm reading this out is so that you can see that it's on her website. I'm not editing this. I'm not changing this. I am going to read this to you. So please make sure you've just got, 5 minutes or so and you're able to listen to what I'm saying to you, because all of this is important on January 19th, 2025, for very obvious reasons. These are Jess Phillips' words, and I can only assume that or presume that because it's on her website. So she would not have allowed anything to be public facing on her website. So I will quote this. This is Jess Phillips. And she read this to Parliament in the chamber. So it will also be in Hansard. I was pleased to contribute to the recent parliamentary debate on commercial sexual exploitation. Please read my contribution below. CSE. I always thought it was child sexual exploitation, but who am I? This is Jess Phillips. I am grateful to my honourable friend, the member for Gower, for securing this debate, which, as she pointed out, is my first as a Home Office Minister, although definitely not my first on this subject, by any stretch of the imagination. From the outset, let me say that it is a privilege to have been asked by the Prime Minister to serve and to work on some of the issues to which I have devoted much of my life, both inside and outside this building. We have an enormous task on our hands. Debates such as this undermine why it is so critical that we make real progress in protecting women. And in this instance, men as well. And all people from harm. We know that sexual exploitation disproportionately affects women and girls, as I said. It affects men as well, although those who are buying sex tend to always come from the same group. It is time that we treat tackling violence against women and girls as the national emergency that it is. New government policies will be announced in due course, but I want to restate that I believe passionately that change in this area is needed. And until it is achieved, we must not rest. On hearing accounts such as those we have heard tonight from my honourable friend, I am not sure how we could come to any other conclusion. I will continue to work closely with charities and non-governmental organisations, NGOs for short. I have met almost all these mentioned by my honourable friend to support services in advancing their efforts to protect survivors and hold perpetrators to account. Turning to the specific points of the debate, this government will use every lever available to stop commercial sexual exploitation and all kinds of sexual exploitation. We are committed to tackling the harms that it brings. The most vulnerable in our society deserve nothing less. When looking at commercial sexual exploitation, it is undeniable that we have to consider carefully those who are exploited under the guise of completely legitimate prostitution. That is often the argument that comes back, but not one that we should recognise. We are only a couple of weeks into the new government, so I hope that members will understand that I am not in a position today to make commitments on specific policies. However, I want to make it clear to my honourable friend and all members that they will be coming, and she has my word that I expect change in this space. Currently, the acts of buying and selling sex are not in themselves illegal in England and Wales. However, some activities that can be associated with prostitution are offences, including activities linked to exploitation, which she talked about. The Sexual Offences Act 2003 makes it illegal to pay for the sexual services of a prostitute subjected to force, threats, or any other form of coercion or deception. This is a strict liability offence, meaning that it is not a valid defence that the defendant did not know that the person, victims, and to bring ruthless perpetrators of this crime to justice. That means ensuring that the police relentlessly pursue perpetrators who pose the greatest risk to women and girls, using all the tools at our disposal to protect victims and get dangerous perpetrators off our streets. As I am sure non-members are aware, sexual exploitation is a significant part of the trafficking space in this country. We will build on the Online Safety Act 2023 to ensure that online companies fulfill their duty to eradicate this exploitation from their sites. There is much work to do in this particular space, as has been highlighted by my honourable friend. I have had many cases where this has not been handled well at all. Indeed, there are images of me on pornographic websites that I cannot get taken down. We will use every lever to halve violence against women and girls in the next decade in the Home Office and across the whole of government, with policing and other experts. The demand for commercial sexual services fuels the exploitation of women who are forced or coerced into prostitution. The use of commercial sexual services should not be normalised. We will look across government to use all the levers available to change attitudes in the longer term, reducing demand for commercial sexual services and protecting women from exploitation. I'm almost finished. Was being exploited, so that would be protecting women from exploitation, was being exploited or had been subject to force or coercion. As my honourable friend pointed out, I have very grave concerns about how well this works in practice. I am happy to say from here that it does not. Like so many convictions that we seek for crimes of violence against women and girls, the numbers are woeful. We want to understand the scale of the issue and how best to respond to it. The Home Office is currently providing 1.36 million of funding to Changing Lives. I declare that I was the chair of Changing Lives Adult Sexual Exploitation Partnership, though I am no longer, to address the current gaps in evidence of the levels and types of online abuse and exploitation, to help us better understand the pathways that are needed to improve support. This is important work, and I thank the amazing Changing Lives for undertaking it. We are also providing £378,000 of funding over 2 years to Trevi Women, which provides trauma-informed support to women survivors wishing to exit on-street prostitution. We are aware of its different legislative approaches to prostitution, such as those implemented in Northern Ireland and different parts of Europe. There is a wide range of potential legislative approaches. Further work is needed to understand the options we will have as a government. We'll work with other NGOs, the non-governmental organisations, and charities to explore those options, ensuring that the protection of women and girls from exploitation is at the forefront of our approach. The trafficking of women and girls for sexual exploitation is an horrific crime, and we are determined to safeguard. Now you can see, considering what's happened over the last few weeks, why I didn't edit any of that. I read it verbatim, and it's taken from Jess Phillips' website. She categorically says the sexual exploitation of women and girls. And that's why you won't see hide nor hair of Jess Phillips for a while, because they know how incendiary this subject is to the parliamentarians in the Palace of Westminster, and also to the working man and woman in the wider communities and society. They know they're on a very sticky wicket. They know that the voting man and woman is not happy with them, and we want them gone. But they think that they're adept politicians, and they can cover things up, and they can divert our attention from one thing to another The front pages of the most populous newspapers in this country, and they're talking about showbiz shite. 250,000 victims. And this was a few weeks, and it's on her website, few weeks into their term as government. And they've made an absolute horrid fist of it. I'll leave that with you. Thank you for staying with me tonight. There are some conversations that you and I need to have, and we need to find some kind of agreement on, because there doesn't appear to have been anything done in certain situations by people that are supposed to be leading us. They can have their jollies wherever they want, so long as they're doing the work, so long as they're leading us, and they're leading us into a place where it is beneficial to the man, the working man and woman, the voting man and woman, and more importantly, to their children. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll see how things go over the next few days. I'm going to stay flexible. I may end up doing lives. I may end up doing videos on stuff. The one thing that I do hope you find with this channel is my integrity and the truth and honesty that I bring to these broadcasts, if you will. I'll continue to do that. People are asking questions about other subjects. I may do some videos on that. I may not. But please be well and go safely. Next live is Wednesday, 8 o'clock. There's a lot to be going on over the next 48, 36 hours or so. I'll keep an eye on things for you and bring my take to it, my experience in the media. Thank you for your likes. We got over nearly 150 tonight. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions. Please make sure that you are subscribed. Vixtech says, never underestimate the power of people who have had enough. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Des Ashton, somber end tonight. So much to cover. Good night, all. Thank you, Des. Thank you to everyone that was here on the live this evening. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. Sometimes we'll have a bit of a giggle, but there are very serious conversations to be had by all of us, even if our leaders think that they're unable to. And the swords of 1,000 men. Back to Bonnie Blue again. Look after yourself. I'll see you live Wednesday. Other videos coming tomorrow. Be well. Sleep well. See you soon.